I now call to the podium Kayley.
It was the beginning of 4th grade, and it was the first time in 3 years that I was not named New Kid. I was now an individual with a name of my own. During a crisp autumn recess, I was celebrating my independence by enthusiastically pumping on a swing as hard as my little heart could bear, higher and higher with every push and pull. I was going to reach the tree branches. This dream was temporarily interrupted by an Eeyore-like grumble. I slowed my pumping to find the newly dubbed New Kid sitting still, unenthusiastically, on the swing next to mine. I would have normally shouted a greeting while my swinging continued, but something caught my eye. I happened to be in a phase where all I wanted was to carry on about a missing retainer, or a newly tightened braces, or being forced to wear pale green rubber bands that didn't match any of my clothes. Unfortunately for me, my teeth were always straight. I noticed that the New Kid had a large bright orange retainer that stuck so far out from his teeth no one could miss it. I had to find out more. I stopped swinging completely and chatted a bit. I learned that the retainer was not only my favorite shade of orange, but it was also glow in the dark. I have never been, and probably never will be, as jealous as I was on that autumn day. I am standing here this evening, some 8.5 years later, introducing a great friend of mine, one with straight teeth and possibly a tad more enthusiasm than previously expressed. Although I remain somewhat envious of his talents and qualities, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Rhinebeck High School's class of 2009 valedictorian, Mr. Greg Chapman.
Well, hello. Unfortunately, I must admit that everything Kayley said is true. So despite my modest embarrassment, thank you. As to whether or not I deserve to be the one to give this address, that's another question entirely. Now, as for everyone else whose efforts, patience, and affection merit my deepest gratitude, please accept my heartfelt thanks and my apologies, for I am unable to adequately acknowledge you individually. It seems that even to compile a list of those to which I am in any and every way indebted would be an impossible task. I must simply say, you know who you are, and thank you. As for the rest of you, thanks for coming. In all seriousness, I must begin by saying the composition of this address has been an issue which has in the past weeks given me considerable angst. It seems that, in a strange way, pen and paper were the bane of inspiration. In their presence I found my mind devoid of rhetorical motivation, yet when such muse struck, the instruments of record were not to be found. Perhaps the issue is not exactly a poetic spark. Of course not. I mean, if I learned anything in AP English, it's that it's quite possible to contrive a few hundred words of wit, even when faced with the most obtuse and uninspiring of tasks. The difficulty lies, of course, in content. In simple terms, I just don't know what to say. It is neither my place to proffer exhortations and admonitions, nor is it of any use to dwell too deeply in reflection. So after perhaps too many hours of internal deliberation, I have decided to simply impart upon you the following. As much as this is an occasion which undoubtedly warrants its share of pomp and circumstance, of contemplation and celebration, we move on. We must, whether it be to college, to work, to travel, or to the service, we move on. These long, wonderful, interesting, and eventful years we have spent together, they are over. And when the cheering stops, when the flashbulbs dim and the confetti settles, this book is closed. And it is like any book. You can go back to read it again and again, but never again will it be the first time. So here I must contradict myself and offer just one teeny bit of advice, if you would so permit me. Move on. The past is the past, and as much as it is all too human to dwell upon it, to wallow in it, to try to relive its glories and ameliorate its shortcomings, it cannot be changed. So turn your gaze to what is now and what is to come, and march on. I'm not suggesting that one should never look back, that one shouldn't seek to correct the faults and purge the demons of the past, but simply that one should do so with an ever-present mind for the present and the future. In a sense, live your life the best you can right now, and with that in mind, the rest will follow. Now, as it seems no address is given, which does not contain a few borrowed words, I will leave you with some parting wisdom by way of Garrison Keillor. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch. And I will add one more. Carpe diem. Thank you.
Class, are you ready to receive your diplomas? For the presentation of the diplomas, I now call back to the podium Mr. Joseph Phelan, who is a list